Hi, everybody. Michael Shimidas. I'm going to moderate this discussion. So happy to be here and to sort of unpack the film we just watched. We have the filmmakers, Jeff and Zuzka, and we have three of their participants, Sadiq, Jahed, and Javeen. So thank you so much for being here. First off, I just want to acknowledge I have a lot of feelings going on right now. I think there's a lot of inspiration. It was really exciting to see sort of the transition that you all made to sort of growing up, sort of like the work that you've done to sort of improve our communities, and just also a lot of sadness and a lot of pain, and it's really hard. So I just wanted to sort of lead off with that. And I also learned a lot about the three of you, a lot about the participants in the movie, and a lot about Hudson. Even though I've known the three of you for many, many years, I still sort of, it was really interesting to sort of see another side of you. So I really appreciate that. And thank you to Jeff and Zuzka for really bringing that out. So I appreciate that. So I'm going to ask a few questions, and then meanwhile, you all have index cards that you can fill out, and sort of there's people around if you hold them up. So I'm going to ask a few questions, then we're going to transition to the questions from the audience. So the first question is going to go to Jeff. Let's just bring it back to the beginning. So what was the first shoot like? What brought you there? What can you tell us about it?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you everybody for coming. It means the world to have you guys here. And the first shoot, I showed up really cold actually, because I had no idea what we were in store for. Zuzka had met Ramisa at a bodega, and I think she was really taken by her, and this kind of the fact that she lives in these kind of two at times conflicting worlds, but had this sense of optimism that so many young Americans don't have these days. I think really spoke to her, and she kind of pitched the idea to me this should be a new project, which would be the third project we've done. And I had no idea what to expect showing up. So I hadn't met them. I knew nothing about them really, except that they were first-generation immigrants from Bangladesh. And my first impression was how much we had in common. I mean, I saw myself, I saw members of my family in them, and I saw really universal characteristics that really spoke to me. And I think especially seeing how these two with Ramisa, how they interacted with the kids. You see it in the opening shot where they're spinning the kids around, are you ready for fun? Ready for life. That was really the moment, and that second where I was like, okay, this thing has legs, and it really affected me. And I was like, okay, I was already in, but I was like, I'm all in. And we kind of at that point committed to multiple years, 4 years, which ultimately turned into 7.
That's great. Thank you. So the next question is going to be for the three of you. I'm going to set it up a little bit. So really to make communities better, we need people to stand up, to be brave, and to sort of ask for more. And I think that's almost always young people when that happens. At the same time, I see in minority groups and in marginalized groups, and I certainly experienced this as a Jewish person growing up in America, is there's oftentimes a lot of pressure to not air our dirty laundry, or in Yiddish to share our shandas. We want to keep our bad stuff quiet. We don't want to share it to the outside world. And I sort of see this tension in the movie and with your experiences, and I was wondering if you just wanted to share about that.
I guess it's working. All right. Hello, everyone. I guess you guys know who I am. Talking about the analogy of dirty laundry, only we don't want to just hide it, but also clean it. So rather than just talk about it is one thing, but acting upon it and trying to help our community get better, it's more important than just, showcasing it in a documentary. We have a lot to go, a lot to do. This is just a small step forward. Not everyone's going to be happy about it, but you can't make everyone happy, right? So let's see where this takes us.
So to comment on airing the dirty laundry within our communities, I think it comes from an intention of, like you said, wanting to improve it and do what's better. You have to ask yourself, what can be achieved once the word gets out? And will people be more willing to engage with our community, or will they just perpetuate stereotypes, or feel further animosity, or confirm further biases against us? So that's you kind of have to really grapple with, when you want to really put yourself out there.
Yeah.
I agree with both of you. I think it comes with a lot of vulnerability to kind of call out the community for things that you're also part of the same community. And that means also calling out your own family members, people that you love. And kind of calling out, years and centuries and thousands of years of patriarchy and things that have been instilled and believed to be a part of faith. And a lot of the times, things that are a part of culture or are a part of faith were not initially a part of it, but were brought in by people who just want to be in power. And the idea that, only one community has dirty laundry is not true. Everybody has dirty laundry. And the laundry that's aired out, it's usually of the people who benefit from power and silencing. It's not an easy job or it's not an easy step to kind of talk about those things and put it out there, because it makes you a target. You're going against the norm. But at the same time, no community is perfect, And we need to dismantle that idea that every community is perfect and only, POC or like Muslim or, colored communities have issues. Not every community has issues. It's just some choose not to talk about that and some are open about it.
Yeah, I really commend you a lot on your bravery. I'll read it. I wanted to ask a follow-up question that the movie is also quite, thank you. It's quite personal, right? Like we see a journey that that the three of you and everybody in the six main participants go on. You change a lot. You grew up over the years, and you share a lot of things that might be you talk about even in the movie. Is like, this is public that a lot of people wouldn't share, and I think that's what makes the story so powerful. And I think it also does set us up to change things because we need brave people to share those things that are personal, but it's risky. And so I was wondering if you want to talk about. If you want to talk about sort of taking those risks, how you were sort of reflect on taking those risks, or if it felt risky yet.
Personally, there were many times throughout the documentary where, it would really be scary to share these things, and reflecting on that, I kind of learned what it means to be brave, to press forward, even though it may seem scary, and the documentary itself, I found to engage with it as a vehicle for my personal reflection, to ask myself those heavy questions. And I think to be able to share that with others, I think they might resonate with them as well.
Yeah, if I could just jump in. I thought for me, when we first met, you were like a very young person and you were like that smiling kid on the side of the soccer field that maybe was like too young to be playing, but you were there and you're still like that, this like smiling person, right? But it was really touching for me to sort of see this other side of you that was really deep and really personal and really sort of emotional and grappling. So I appreciated sort of seeing that side of you. So I thank you for sort of showing that side to all of us.
I said a lot of stuff in the documentary that I said, cut, let me say this, just to get it out of my chest. And just going to add this in there just for you to, like a therapy session, a little bit, right? Let's record it. Maybe in the edits you'll see it. But sometimes we do hold things in. We don't talk about it much because we are scared of how people will react to it. And that causes more pain on ourselves than anything. And starting a dialogue, whether it's talking to yourself in the mirror or talking to a huge crowd of people, it has to start somewhere. And that will teach you to be more open, be more expressive, and show love to yourself, most important thing, because why lie to yourself? It doesn't go anywhere, right?
Yes. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, as someone who was in the film but also watched the film, I think the Hudson Bangladeshi Muslim community is super small. And so we didn't have a lot of examples, stories, reality checks. And I think this documentary is like a love letter, as Ramisa said, to the young people in this community who feel very alone, who think they're really messed up, who have feelings that they're not good enough, that they're not enough. And I think this documentary tells them, whoever you are, whatever you are, however you are, whatever your family is, you are still worthy of love, you are still worthy of dreaming. And I think that's the biggest message that all of you sent out, is that no matter what, you still matter, and no matter what route you choose, like, your dreams are of value. And I think I wasn't emotional this time, but the first time I watched it, it was really, really heavy. Like, I needed a therapy session because it was like, I wish my younger self got to see that documentary.
It's really beautiful. The next question is to you, Ziska. So Jabin just really summed up, I think, like how powerful the movie is and a lot of the feelings that resonate with me too. But I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what you hope will come out of this film, what you hope to accomplish.
They are also articulate that it's hard to compete right now, but I think we are living in an era in which immigration and mass migrations are happening and increasingly happening. And in this process, we lose the story of the humans behind it. And I think we had this God-given opportunity to tell a story through the eyes of the first generation that has one foot in the old world and one foot in the new world. And in this way, to bring a more understanding and love between the generation of immigrants. I mean, I was an immigrant and a refugee myself as a child, so I see this number, the numbers are growing. So basically, it's the idea of looking at immigrations through different lenses, because times are changing. And this generation can be a fantastic bridge to understanding.
Thank you. So there are a few questions that I know that this is like our first official screening, but there's been a fair amount of people who I think who have seen the movie online at first, and so there's a few questions sort of around how is your family or how are people reacting. I know that we got a little bit of that, your initial reactions in the film from when you first saw it, but yeah, now that it's first screening now, I guess if you could talk a little bit about what people are saying about it, or like what your apprehensions are, how your feelings are today about the community feeling it, and particularly maybe your family.
So, my family has no idea except for my sisters, but they won't be surprised by it. Yeah.
Oh, God. I think my current apprehensions about the film is, what does Islam really mean to us? Mm-hmm. And what value do we place behind the teachings? And, can we really appreciate our tradition?
Yeah.
Right? We're taught in our tradition, the word sin, right? It's an archery term, to be off the mark, right? And, what we're taught, what obedience to God means is to stay within the limits, the hudud. And everything in our tradition is meant to protect one of 6 things: religion itself, human intellect and reasoning, life, protect family, to protect property, and to protect human dignity. So, when we want to adhere to our teachings, this is what we want to represent. And my fears, is, am I properly representing our faith? That was one of my main apprehensions with engaging with the film, and whatever I say, would it be represented in my true voice by Zuzka and Jeff, which, after seeing the documentary now for the 3rd time, I have complete faith that, they have captured our voice and our stories in the most beautiful way.
Yeah, my parents haven't seen it. Maybe as time progresses and things are a little less tense, maybe show some clips here and there. But I mean, how parents are. So hopefully, when the time comes, they'll see it in parts.
There's a few questions around, I think you talked about faith. There was a few questions around sort of like relationship to faith. There was, one was like, what has become of the younger brothers who memorized the Quran? I was wondering if you could maybe give some plot updates around that, but also just if you have other thoughts around like the next generation's like approach to faith.
Shafi's, or my little brother, he's not little anymore. He's 17 years old, so time flies. He's still in Ohio. He's in his second year studying to become in the same status of a alim, which is like a higher level position than where he is right now. When it comes to faith, the youth, and being part of the community in Hudson, I tried to, like in the documentary we talk about it shortly, have a little organization where we get them to come to a mosque and learn and to have a good understanding of the faith. Nowadays, it's so polarized, the religion, it can get very tense. And one thing I want is them to have the basic knowledge to stand for themselves and to be proud of who they are for their religion. And Usman, he's in Cornell right now, such a prestigious university. So he can balance both the religion and academics and flourish in both. And it's just showing that for the youth, it's possible to continue to work on the path of education and also have that religious knowledge. It's possible, and you should be able to learn both.
So, in the Islamic definition of faith, it's defined as the belief in one God, belief in the angels, the scripture, that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is the prophet, and all the prophets before him. And when it comes to the youth approaching faith, we live in the age of information, right? There are many voices out there, and it's hard to know who to listen to. And what I would say to the youth to approach faith is to, like I said in the documentary, there are people out there who do have your best intentions for you out there, and to stick with them and to really limit, because it's very easy to become radicalized in this environment of social media, and there's confirmation bias with the algorithms and stuff like that too. So when it says to approach your faith, just stick to those who really mean you well.
I agree with both Siddiq and Jahad. I think when I was growing up and a lot of the older Gen Z immigrants and Muslims were growing up, it was still, 9/11 still happened. Islamophobia was very, very, very strong, which it is still now, but it was very strong in our community. And it kind of forced a lot of us to look inward and ask questions about our faith. And I think as, 15 plus years have passed since 9/11, and Islamophobia is still very, very real. I think there's a lot of room and space for intersectionality in where Gen Z can, explore faith from a place of comfort instead of fear. And I think with the resources like TikTok and Instagram, you can access so much good and bad, information about faith, but it also gives you so much access to understanding that you can be a woman who wears hijab and not be pious. You can be a woman who doesn't wear hijab and be pious. You can be gay and you can be a Muslim. You can be political and you can be Muslim. It's just, I think the younger generation has a lot of tools at their disposal to get information, but at the same time, I think it's also very difficult because they can, like Jahad said, they can be radicalized very quickly. I think one thing that I'm very fond of young Gen Z is that they approach everything with a lot of humor and fun and love and kind of hope, and it's very beautiful to approach faith from that lens instead of fear.
Yeah. Now, there's a question around if you could talk about your experiences with the Hudson City School District, and I'm going to expand that a little bit in that, the film takes place where it's sort of on the cusp of a lot of the students sort of in high school, and then they sort of leave Hudson to go to college. And a lot of you had like a big coming of age, and you really grew during this period where you were actually away from Hudson. And then a lot of you also like didn't end up ultimately moving back to Hudson. So I'm curious, like you, in some ways, I see you as like the best of Hudson. Like you're such great representatives of our community, and I both want you to be able to succeed and go anywhere you want and do anything you want, and I want you to have the opportunity to like come back to our community and like be here full time, making it better. So I'm just curious, like, you know, like what was your relationship growing up here, reflecting on your experience in high school, and then like what does Hudson mean for a future?
So I moved to Hudson when I was 3 years old in 2001, and this community raised me.
Yep.
And it still continues to raise me with programs like the Guaranteed Income Pilot. And if there wasn't beautiful mentors in Hudson High School who believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself, you know, they pushed me to apply for scholarships like the Giddings Foundation scholarship. And with all the resources in Hudson High, like I wouldn't have gotten accepted into SUNY New Paltz's honors program with transferring with 44 credits, right? That's no joke. So they really nurtured, they made school really enjoyable for me. You know, they nurtured the pursuit of knowledge for me, and without that community backing, I definitely wouldn't have gotten to the place I am today.
As it called, I want to give a good shout out to Mr. Kirkestine for being here, Ms. Abatalo, Dr. Abatalo, they were here earlier, Ms. Wheeler, I think she was here as well. People at least for me, the history department in Hudson High has been the best experience. Of course, other departments are great too, but like the science department as well, the math and social studies. But the history department for me, I felt so connected to, because you really dive deep into different parts of communities and history and different histories of those communities and how it's represented and how you perceive those histories as well. And when I was able to, I guess, learn about those things and be able to encompass it in my own life, I can see that the history of Hudson it has actually not a lot of things that we learned about. Of course, on a global scale, we learn about history, but Hudson history, it was once a whaling town to an industrial city to a middle of nowhere that only rich people come on the weekends to visit. So I want to be, and I always come back to visit and try to be connected to continue to be connected to the community through different organizations that are provided here. And I hope so, as long as my family's here and friends here and people that I know are here, I'll also be here as well. And if not, I'll come to visit. So to answer your question, yes, Hudson is home and Hudson is where I will be. Although I'm far away, it's always in my heart.
Want to say anything?
Sure. I also graduated from Hudson High, class of 2011. I was one of 2 other Bangladeshis, and there wasn't a lot of people of color on staff either, so it's kind of a very different experience from Jahad and Siddiq. I loved my teachers. I did really well in class, but I think the school definitely needs more support in terms of like funding. There's so much that you can do if you don't have the funds and the means to do so, and teachers need support. Like a lot of the things that they could have done more, you know. But teachers are underpaid. A lot of my activism and the work that I did in the community started in school, and Miss Factor played a big role in, like, I was going, to every class talking about children being sold, and she allowed me to do that. She helped me access that education, and I think knowing that I can influence a classroom was a very big deal. So I am thankful to Hudson High.
Thank you. Yeah, the 3 of you make me really proud to live in Hudson, so thank you.
Thanks.
So this is going to be the last question. So we're under a time limit, but afterwards you can go downstairs. There's going to be refreshments, so we can all sort of talk informally after that. So I just wanted to give the last question to Jeff and Zizka, sort of reflecting on screening this movie here in Hudson, and then now we've had this conversation. How has today in this whole 7-year, 7-year process, how has it changed? How has it changed you?
Well, I am so emotional and so excited that everybody's here and this very cold day, including crew members that were filming in very similar weather conditions in Hudson over the years. I think it is very emotional and very special, and particularly for me, what is moving is that when I heard Hillary Clinton talking about It Takes a Village, the title of her book, I really didn't understand it. How many people in this small town contributed to the growth of these kids, and how much love and how much support we received from the community, how many doors opened up. We went to Hudson High. On the beginning, I wanted to talk with the principal. He was ill at that day, but everybody who was working in the office were saying, "Oh, you want to do something with the Bangladeshi kids? We love them. They're wonderful." And everybody, there are so many of them, Jeff will be able to list some of them. So that was what I would like to say. What I feel is a sense of gratitude.
Jeff, you want to close this out?
Yeah, I have, similar to what Zuzka said, I certainly have immense gratitude to everybody involved in this. Certainly the participants for giving us so much of themselves and being so present and open with us. The film is only as successful as they allow it to be by how much they gave us. And we really were able to just, let their words stand on their own, which we were so thankful for. So thank you guys so much for everything that you gave us. And also want to thank Zuzka for bringing me into this. We've been partners, worked together for a decade now, close to the day almost. And this is our third film we've done together, and by far the most impactful. And the Hudson community has been so welcoming towards us. I made a lot of friends here, and what I considered will be lifelong friends, which I'm excited and really touched by. And we did throw together a quick list of thank yous, so I apologize in advance to everyone we forgot. But first of all, the families of the participants, all their families, so supportive. And they were kids when we started, so they had to sign releases, and the families really were supportive and allowed this to happen.
They signed it. The parents signed it, and not them.
The parents signed it, right, yeah. Certainly everybody at Hudson Hall, you probably saw some of the shots, the curtain and the kids dancing, we shot here, even them drumming, we shot here. So Hudson Hall and everybody there, we appreciate the support over all the years, and it means so much for us to screen here for the first time in Hudson. So thank you to everybody there. Also to Linda and Claudia, who introduced Zuzka to the Bangladeshi community, as I understand it. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. Elena Mosley, Operation Unite, you see them in the film. They really have done a lot for the youth around here. The Hudson Library, where Michael's wife works, we shot a lot there. Beautiful. I just showed my brother it when we were driving over here. He could not believe that a library this beautiful exists in a town like this. Also, Operation 10, my man Michael over here, thank you so much for hosting this panel. We got Lars, Carl, and I think Sergey from the crew. Thank you guys, caught so much beautiful imagery. We appreciate you, seriously. And last but not least, my family from Alabama and North Carolina and Albany. I had like 10 people come in for this thing, which I could not believe. So thank you guys for traveling all this way during the coldest time in history, apparently. And yeah. Other than that, everybody else in the community, thank you guys.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for giving us the experience of our lives.
Thank you, everybody. Refreshments downstairs.